So what are we discussing tonight? Anything fun?
What it's like to run a club.
Lake County Whiskey Club.
I know. Did Jake have a voice modulator on?
Yeah, whose was that?
What? Do we have a bad delay?
No clue.
Yes, Jake's got a voice modulator on.
I do?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Jake.
Fuck.
I thought Jake put that on Matt to mess with him.
That's still, you're still.
You're like slow motion. No.
A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Gold Eagle Jake.
And we're joined tonight by Matt, the founder of the Lake County Whiskey Club. It's great to have you on, Matt.
No, thank you for having me tonight.
I don't know if you want us to say your last name, so I didn't. I don't know if you care.
No, I don't care at all.
If you're in the club, you probably know his last name, or if you're on Facebook, you probably know his last name. But either way, true. Matt, the founder of Lake County Whiskey Club, thanks for hopping on here and gonna discuss a little LCWC tonight.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. I always have to think of the letters before I say them.
Yeah.
I always have to think of that acronym out. Like,
notice the little pause. I was about to fire it away. And I'm like, wait a second. It's LCWC. Mm-hmm. But
I'm also an idiot. Are you just drinking a cocktail tonight, Jake?
Yeah, I'm drinking an old fashioned.
All right.
It's an interview. It's fun.
What happens when you run out? Are you gonna go whip up another one?
No, I got more. I'm surrounded. I'm good.
Those don't look like old fashions on the shelves, though.
No, you have one cocktail and then you go straight.
All right. Cheers to
Matt. Do you agree with this? You can feel free to disagree. He's an idiot, so it's fine.
I would just go straight.
Thank you. All right. You were at the blend off, Matt. You realize that no one likes what Jake likes anyways, so you're fine.
That is true.
I'm an appreciator of cocktails. I know that Dan is not, because Dan is a simple man in more ways than one, and apparently listens to pop music. So let's talk about Lake County Whiskey Club a little bit, instead of making fun of me for drinking cocktails.
Oh, we can stay with that for a while. I'd be fine.
So, Matt, how long has Lake County Whiskey Club existed? How many members? And just tell us a little bit about your journey in creating it and why and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So, started the club sometime in 2020. Was during obviously COVID time, and kind of the original process there was to have an avenue to hang out and talk a little bit about whiskey and bourbon and do some get-togethers and kind of draw some people together over a common love for whiskey and bourbon. The growth of it just was word of mouth and doing some events at Gold Eagle and some events at some other places and drawing people in to taste some really great stuff and a lot of blinds and trying to open people's minds to things other than the tater bottles everybody chases and build a community around the area here that everybody could get together and have a common love and have friends. Currently, we're about 1,100 members. It's growing every day. It's continuing to grow, and we're continuing to try and do new and exciting events and things like barrel picks and shares and things just to build a community so that everyone can have some fun and enjoy this hobby.
Yeah, awesome.
So before we jump too far ahead here, what was your intention when you started the Whiskey Club? Because I do remember you coming up to me. Well, I mean, I can't believe it's already been 4 years ago. If 2020 was when it started, but I remember you coming up to me saying, "Hey, I think I'm going to start a whiskey club." There's Adventures Club, which covers all of Chicagoland, more so like more into the city. There was I think at the time that Wisconsin Lake whatever Facebook group, but there was nothing in Lake County. And I remember you telling me like, "Hey, there's nothing here in Lake County. Like, I think I'm going to be the one that started it." So, what was your intention, like back way in the beginning? Did you think it would grow to what it is today?
To be honest, I never thought it would grow as big as it has. I think my intention was, if you think back to that time, a few of us, like you came around and Justin, and we were doing some, blind flights on Friday nights, just hanging out. And I think it was just a really cool experience to have some friends over and, taste some different stuff and, have some conversation and hang out. And I thought, why not do it on a bigger scale? I guess I never thought it would get to 1,100 members and keep growing. But it was really just to build some social about a really cool hobby that I enjoyed, and met some really good friends through it, and thought we could expand it for more people in the area that could enjoy this.
And also with COVID kind of just starting up, like it was a really nice way to connect with other people in Lake County over whiskey. The Facebook group gave us a nice platform to post what we were drinking at home and kind of start some discussion virtually.
Absolutely. And I truly think that it's given people an opportunity to see some, I'll say, not normal bottles that people are searching out. They found some new light on some things that they had never heard of, and really expanded some people's, horizon on bourbon. And I'm really thankful that I was able to help people find something to love, to, search out.
Yeah. Hey, me, Dan, and Roberto kind of started a club too, but it was only 3 members, and it was not nearly as exciting.
Well, it's exciting, but way more exclusive. Just gonna throw that out there.
It seems like most like whiskey clubs. I mean, you guys obviously didn't really try to get more people into your club, or else you would have. But it seems like most clubs start just the way Matt is. It's, hey, let's just we're getting together with a few people anyway. Let's just make it a thing, and maybe we'll get 10 members, maybe we'll get 20 members, and they almost always take off. So there's obviously a lot of people out there looking for something like this. And I think you filled like a really cool little niche right here in Lake County with it.
Yeah, I think, and then moving it to the next level of having the, in-person tasting events when we were able to do so. And, I think people really enjoyed that ability to get to meet people face to face. And I think that was awesome. I think a lot of friends have been made within it, which is really what it's about, building the community.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What's really cool about the group is there's even like a couple people that I don't even think I've met in person yet, but you feel like you already know them because everybody is actually contributing to the Facebook group and conversating, unlike some other. Not that there's any bad groups out there, but
go ahead and name names, Jake.
No, I actually don't know any names. That's
why.
Okay. That's why I said that. But I'm sure there's plenty of Facebook groups out there, whiskey groups particular, where people really, they don't actually connect with each other. It's just kind of like
bottle flex pictures and
bottle flexes, and it's there. But people actually connect with each other, and they actually, there's some discussion that happens, and it's obviously people just in Lake County, so you get to meet people that you hopefully will end up hanging out with and bottle sharing with in real life. And I think that was the whole kind of idea of the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Slight confession, I no longer and never did live technically in Lake County, but I'm still part of the Lake County Whiskey Club. So there's that.
I think one of the questions, you just have to have something affiliated with it. You don't have to live in the club in Lake County.
All right, just making sure.
There's got to be some kind of connection there.
Yeah, I
Matt
believe one
would
of the
know.
questions. Yeah, I think it's, do you live in Lake County or a close surrounding area?
No,
So that
I used
people
to.
who
Yeah,
live
That
Dan
makes sense.
doesn't qualify for any of those.
I did when I filled out the questionnaire. It hasn't really asked me for questions. Thank you for not searching around my personal business, Matt. I appreciate you for that.
So what got you into whiskey or bourbon in general, Matt?
Good question.
Was it also around the same time, or was this like a lifelong, passion for you?
I would not say it was a lifelong passion. I mean, I always, I'll say in my early 20s of drinking, I always enjoyed a Jack and Coke or something like that. Never thought much of it. And I think what really got me started was a couple things. One was when I met Jake, I was super into some barrel aged beers and kind of, hunting those out and enjoying those. And I remember Jake telling me a story about how he had switched to Wild Turkey 101 and he was drinking it straight at baseball games or something like that. And at that time, actually, is when Gold Eagle had done their first Buffalo Trace pick, or one of their early on Buffalo Trace picks. And I remember getting a bottle from there and kind of enjoying it. And then through work, I had some counterparts that came from the South, and they were super into it. And I guess, I kind of built off of that and just kind of found something I really enjoyed. And, I really got into it that way between just word of mouth and trying some of these cool barrel picks. And then these people from the South that came from Tennessee and Texas and that, they were bringing all sorts of stuff up here I had never had. And just kind of found a love for it. And again, it was a lot of social and talking to people who enjoyed this and built that relationship. And I think that really got me turned on to it and away from the beer.
Yeah, nice. So you've been shopping at Gold Eagle for quite a while then.
It's been a fairly long time. I couldn't tell you the exact time, but it had to be, I don't know, 16, 17. I would think I started there, or maybe before that. So yeah, quite a while.
Let's just
Let's clear that up. 2016, 2017. He wasn't 16 or 17 when he started shopping at Gold Eagle.
Well, and I was also going to say, let's clear it up. It wasn't one of the first Buffalo Trace barrel picks, because that would have been early 2000s. But it was at a time, I remember this happening. It was at a time when we had a Buffalo Trace pick just sitting on the shelf. And I remember Matt and I, talking, and Matt, asking me like, what's the next like barrel aged beer to come in? Like, what do you got in the back for Benthic or Goose Island, Bourbon County? Back in the days that will hopefully never ever happen again. But and then me kind of telling him, like, honestly, I don't really know. Like, I've been sort of on this bourbon kick, like haven't really been drinking a lot of beer. I do remember telling you about that Wild Turkey story. I snuck some minis in a Wrigley Field and was drinking those neat, and was just like, wow, like I don't need to go buy a beer. Like, this is great. I remember you were like, what's one bottle of bourbon, for a good price that I should bring home today? And it was the Buffalo Trace store pick that was just sitting on the shelf, and that's where it all turned for the better.
Why do I feel that you guys had a pre-conference on this, and originally it was a Taylor bottle, but you decided to switch it over to Buffalo Trace?
It's still Buffalo Trace, though.
It is still Buffalo Trace, but no, and actually I completely forgot about that scenario until Matt just brought it up on the podcast. You can ask Matt. He texted me like 10 minutes before this. He was like, what do I need to know? Like, I'm not prepared.
If you're on this podcast, absolutely nothing.
I'm like, and I told him, like, yeah, we just hop on, we drink, we shoot the shit. Like, there's nothing planned. It's just hanging out and asking questions. But
so you've known Jake for almost 10 years?
I would say that's pretty accurate.
2016. Has Jake converted you to Scotch yet?
That's a no. He has not.
Good man.
that's level number 3.
Matt's the best guest we've ever had on this podcast.
It only took me, 6 months? 9 months?
No Scotch, but
Matt, I've been at a couple of your guys' blind Lake County Whiskey Club blind tastings at Gold Eagle. What has been one of the most shocking outcomes that you remember from one of those events?
I will say one of the most shocking outcomes was one of the first ones we ever did. We did a blind with our first Traverse City whiskey barrel pick against the Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered, and it overwhelmingly won. And then what I think was the most shocking was that people still were asking for Smoke Wagon at the end of the evening.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So this was back when Smoke Wagon was sold out immediately when it hit the shelf, like before it kind of settled down. So yeah, it was pretty amazing. People, and I don't know if was that blind tasting also the one that we had Taylor beat Wild Turkey 101. Wild Turkey 101 beat Taylor.
I don't remember if it was, but that did happen.
Because if I remember correctly, the blind tastings were ultimately Matt's idea.
Yeah, that started with the Friday night flights, as we called it, at my house. Having my wife, Kristen, pour the pours of bourbon in the laundry room so we wouldn't know what was what, and labeling the bottles with sticky notes so we could all taste and figure out what was what.
So pretty important thing to bring up here. So yeah, Matt kind of gave me the idea to start these blind tastings along with me going to Kentucky and doing a blind tasting with Dixon Deadman. The first ever blind tasting that we did, I guess. The first ever blind tasting that we did was Lake County Whiskey Club before Gold Eagle offered them to the public. And it was a challenge to figure out how do we, do this with 45 people and blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, it turned into an experiment to something that we do monthly and has a pretty good following.
So, we actually need to expand.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, if you want to touch on that a little bit. I mean, last year, Matt decided we're going to do one Lake County Whiskey Club blind tasting a month. And I think when we started out, it was like they didn't sell out right away. It was maybe just like a little bit much. And we kind of took like a month off here or there. But obviously the following has grown to a much more loyal and demanding following, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning it was, it was a good following, I'll say, but it was a much smaller community and group. And when we started, it would take, anywhere from a few days to a week to sell out our tickets, which was fine. And it gave a lot of people the opportunity to join in. Just to give you an idea of where we are now, posted one recently for an event that's this Saturday at Gold Eagle and sold out in 20 minutes. And I've had enough interest where Jake could double his bar size and we'd still sell it out. So it's becoming a lot harder to get tickets, unfortunately.
You need a matinee.
Oh, wow. That was awful. Don't.
I would go to a 2:00 and then have the 5:00 later.
Yeah, we've discussed it, and we've tried to figure out a way to do it. There's just no way because the glassware and the dishes and
it's a lot.
We'd have to double everything.
But
we'd have to
go from. Think, you could have Matt and A, and then you could have Matt and B.
I know.
Boo! You give me shit for a matinee joke, and then you come out with that.
And then we could have Matt and C have the winners of the two blinds go off later at Matt's house. Nah, just kidding. But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of potential. But I think that's just really cool to point out how much the club has grown, and not only like the member quantity has grown, but the engagement and demand for these events has grown tremendously just in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our Christmas, we did the advent calendar, which was pretty cool. 25 blind pours that we revealed every day individually on Facebook on what they were with the proof and all that kind of stuff. And, me and Jake started with, we'll do 25 or 50. And then we got to 50 and more people wanted, and we're like, well, we should expand to 75. Let's see if we can sell them. And then we got to 75, and we could have sold more, but we stopped. And I will tell you, the evening of making these advent calendars was a task and a half till 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, I did that for our work, so I know the exact pain that you guys went through. And I did mine a little sooner, so like at least I had a little time. I knew you guys were doing yours kind of trying to get everything finished around last minute. That's not...
I don't know. We had more time to finish it, but we just like halfway through. We're like, holy crap! It's 11 o'clock. Like, we're getting it done tonight. We're not gonna push this off. So
I'll tell you for the future, though. I told Jake this, Matt. Syringes. Get the big syringes so you can just measure it out, squirt it in a bottle, cap it, go on to the next one.
Well, dude, we had a really good system in place. Like we had an assembly line. We had funnels that just made it really easy to bam, bam, bam. But it was just filling up 75 times 25 bottles.
Yeah.
I mean,
we even had my 9-year-old unwrapping mini bottles.
we did. Mm-hmm.
Get started young. I like it.
Yeah. 125 liquor bottles that need to be poured into 50 milliliters.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. Next time we're going to start at like 2 p.m. instead of 6 or 7
You don't
p.m.
think it'll take that long until you start getting into it. You're like, this is taking forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took a long time that night.
Mm-hmm. But
we didn't. I was going to say we didn't have one mishap. All the calendars.
I thought for sure we'd have somebody complain that they didn't think their sample number 22 was what was actually said to be in the bottle. But no, we had a pretty good assembly line where everything should have gone to plan. But I think that brings up another point. Just how well of a job you've done to bring the community together with like virtual events and tastings like this, because what's unique about Lake County Whiskey Club is, although it's called a whiskey club, you don't have an actual clubhouse where people can go gather and meet. It's just kind of all done virtually. So I know that's been a challenge, but I think you've pretty much done a, masterful job bringing everybody together with virtual tastings and events and different things like that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and we've got a lot planned. As you know, we've been talking about some stuff, and I think we've got some pretty cool stuff coming up this year to share with everybody before too long.
Yeah.
Nice. How many? You guys have done a few barrel picks, haven't you, Matt? How many have you guys done?
We've done, what did we do? The Traverse City, a Penelope Architect, a Barrel Craft. We did a Maker's Mark that hasn't been delivered yet. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Jake, am I forgetting anything?
Traverse City was first. Penelope Architect was second.
Was Barrel Craft third?
Barrel Craft was third. And no, I think that's it. I mean, you're gearing up. You're getting ready to do a Knob Creek. That's going to be the next barrel pick for Lake County Whiskey Club. I don't know if I was supposed to spoil that, but
it's fine. Yeah. And
it's fine. It's fine. We've all heard that before. It's fine.
Well, this episode will air before or after we reveal this on Saturday, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But,
there you go.
What's been the most enjoyable experience of all those picks for you, Matt, and why was that the most enjoyable?
I would have to say the most enjoyable was probably just the first one, because it's a really cool experience to do your first one. The other cool part about the first one was that was one I was able to actually source myself and come up with, and I think it was just, people to this day still talk about how great of a pick that was. Obviously, the Barrel Craft was great. The Penelope was great. I think the Maker's is a fantastic bottle, but that Traverse City, I think anybody who got to taste it and enjoy it really thought it was something special. And so that one, I think, will always just be memorable.
Yeah, I think that was a good answer, and I'll kind of add on to that just a little bit. I think I remember this was when the Whiskey Club was just kind of starting, and you were like, hey, I want to do a barrel pick. And I'm like, all right, cool. What, you have like 20 members in the club, and are you going to pre-buy all these bottles, or how are you going to sell them? And then I came back and I told you, well, you know, if you can get the samples from somewhere that you want to do a pick from, let's go from there. And you did. You went out, you hit up, I don't know how many distilleries you hit up, but I remember you got in contact with the owners of Traverse City and they sent you out samples. We went to your back porch, tasted them. There was one that was pretty dang good, and I think we just kind of took a shot on the club and said, all right, we're just going to do it. And this is going to kind of help build the reputation and build the name. And although that pick was very, very good, it should have been something that sold out like the same day. It kind of sat around for a little bit, but that was good because as you were bringing more members into the club, you had something to offer and show them, like, hey, we got a barrel pick here. You can go officially become a member and, you know, have a bottle.
Yeah, I also think it was great to have it on the shelves and just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure people walked up and said, well, what
Absolutely.
is this?
Yeah,
And then
Lake County Whiskey Club didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, and it sat around long enough that people were able to get seconds and thirds, and because they enjoyed it so much. It was just an overall great bottle.
Nice.
And so then the second pick, Architect, sold out like within 24 hours.
Yeah, it was a barrel-proof version of Architect.
Mm-hmm. Barrel-proof Penelope Architect. And this was also like right before Penelope got bought by MGP. You know, they had a name for themselves, but they weren't, you know, a huge name. And then the third pick was a Barrel Craft pick that Matt and I absolutely loved. And we found out after we picked it that they only had 20 bottles of it available.
Well, they told us they had 100.
Well, yeah. So the way like if you're picking a blend from Barrelcraft, they're like thousands and thousands of bottles in the blend. But if you pick it, they won't sell it to anybody else within your same state. So we picked this blend, so we got exclusive access within the state. It was a cognac finish, light whiskey / bourbon, and it was extremely good. But then we found out like 5 days after we picked it, there was only like 20 bottles left of the blend. So we released it at a Gold Eagle blind tasting with Lake County Whiskey Club, and the whole barrel, 20 bottles, sold out that night. So you're 2 for 3 on sellouts with barrel picks.
We just got to get makers to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That Architect pick came out last year, right?
That
Or
was last year
maybe-
at Christmas time.
Yeah,
I remember
it was like
taking the
early
picture.
December. Mm-hmm.
I think I might have one, but I can't remember because I think you put out some kind of Architect pick
I think
last year.
That was the only pick we've ever done a Penelope.
Okay, then yeah, I've
So-
got that one. I really enjoy that one. It's
Yeah.
very good. By far the best Architect bottle that I've had.
I just want to say I love when Jake's like, I might have that bottle because just recently I had him pick up a bottle for me. So he picked up a bottle for himself, and then like a few days later I get a text message, hey, I already had that bottle. You want another one?
Yeah, he's like, I gotta check one of my 4 whiskey rooms in the house to see if it's there. But no, but so like that pick was really cool because Penelope didn't even offer barrel proof Architect picks at that point, and we kind of worked with them to create one for us. And I remember, having to wait like 3 months to do this pick because they said that they proofed down the Architect before they put it in the barrel with the finishing staves. So it was kind of like a custom barrel just for us, just for Lake County Whiskey Club. And still, at the time of releasing it, we did not think it was going to sell out.
Yeah, and if you remember, that was the one that we got where they gave us 3 samples first that we didn't love.
True.
And they went back and created this one.
Yeah, so we turned down the first 3 samples, and then we told them we really want like a barrel proof offering, and they created this one. So It was not something we anticipated to have this much of a demand, but it did. So props to the club, props to Penelope. Thank you, Penelope, for doing this custom blend for us.
Well, they don't really exist anymore, so
I mean, they kind of do, but they're just owned by someone else.
I'm just being a dick.
Yeah. But I don't know if somebody is listening from Penelope or gets this to Penelope. Maybe we'll do a Bourbon Matters custom barrel pick.
That would be fun.
But yeah, so leading into the latest one, I've got a good feeling this one will also sell through pretty quick. Our Maker's Mark pick. Half of the barrel is already pre-sold to the people that joined in and helped us do this pick. But the other half will be for sale. And what was the name of it, Matt? French Toast Spice?
Yes, French Toast Spice. That's correct.
French Toast Spice. So a lot of cinnamon, desserty notes. The name says it all, French Toast Spice. I think once people try this one, they're really going to dig it. And I think that's a good coupon code introduction time right here. So let's do BMLCWC. If you can remember that. So Bourbon Matters Lake County Whiskey Club. Say it with me, Dan.
I'm lost.
BMLCWC. Bourbon Matters Lake County Whiskey Club will get you 10% off their Maker's Mark private barrel when it drops. I wouldn't sleep on this for long because I anticipate once people get a taste, it'll start to move pretty quick, especially because half the barrel is gone. But this pick, we're expected in about 3 weeks from now. All the Makers picks that we've done, I kind of treat like my kids, so I can't really say it's the best of the best, but they're all pretty solid, and I think Matt can attest to that.
Do you remember what the stave combo was?
I don't off the top of my head. No.
I do not remember either. If I remember, it was like 1 or 2 staves off from another one you had done that we didn't realize until later.
Yeah, seems like it always works out that way, but yeah, we'll have more info obviously when it comes in. But if you're listening now and you're interested in that bottle when it does come out, there's a little coupon code for you.
Nice. If you forget the coupon code, just let your cat fall asleep on your keyboard, and you'll probably end up getting it pressed right sometime.
Maybe, or just come back and listen to this episode because that's what the coupon codes are for, to get more listeners.
So, Matt, when you're gonna sit down and have a sip of whiskey, what are you normally gonna pour yourself for a nightly? And what's a special pour in your collection that you enjoy going to every once in a while?
For a regular average night pour, I truly do enjoy some barrel picks. Not to go illegal here, but last night we and my wife were really enjoying the bullet pick. Something just a little unique and good. So I really do enjoy some of the stuff like that.
You can give it to Gold Eagle, Matt.
Okay. All right, I will. All right. Other than that, more, I'll say non-barrel pick stuff. All sorts of different things. I like Elijah Craig, some Larceny stuff. I love Old Forester, minus 1924.
It's a $130 bottle that tastes like it's $60.
I think 1910 and 1920 are far superior in my opinion. 1920 being my favorite of the two. But both are really good. So any of those would be a daily pour for me, something more special. Right now I'm drinking some Bardstown number 10. Really do enjoy some Bardstown products. Every once in a while, obviously can't go wrong with a George T. Stagg, but that's not a very often thing. Love Barrelcraft stuff. A lot of their blends are fantastic. Batch 35 was amazing. I love their New Year's batches. Was just finishing up a bottle of New Year's 22 that's really good. So there's a few there that I enjoy for sure.
Nice.
What's been the most difficult part of running the club now that you got 1,100 people that are on Facebook?
Good question.
Of course, I know it's a good
You
question.
know-
I asked it, you idiot.
I would say
Terrible
the most
question.
difficult part. It's a terrible question. Yeah. Difficult part definitely at this point is, just making sure that we're setting up these events. And then, once you set up these events, I don't think a lot of people realize the back end work to track who's gone in on an event and have they paid and did they show up. And, you get last minute people who back out and, just a lot of that kind of stuff. And, juggling that act of keeping track of all of that and making sure everybody's kind of happy as they go to these events and that we have good results. And, we spend the time, to pick up the lineups for these and make sure that they're stuff people want to have,
Good answer.
Speaking of that, Jake, we definitely have to do that pretty soon here, seeing we have a tasting in a couple of days.
We do, yes. That's on my agenda for tomorrow. Started to think about it a little bit today, but yeah, on my agenda tomorrow.
Oh, you know what you should do? You should have some Fox and Odin in there. Maybe if you heard of Fox and Odin, maybe you should put some.
We can't because the theme is single barrels. So
Oh.
if you guys have any ideas, throw them out there because this episode's not going to air till after the tasting.
All right.
But I mean,
let's
we for sure want to do one round of like the same thing, the same brand versus the same brand, just to show people like how single barrels can taste very different. So if there's any examples in that realm, let us know. I was thinking like 2 different Jepson's picks would be really good for that.
What about
but then
single barrel proof? I don't know how
Always a
much
great
those
pour.
actually. I don't know how much they vary from barrel to barrel.
they do
though.
vary a lot, but if it's a pick, it should be good. We've had one of those picks take down Stag in a blind tasting before, so like some of those can be really really good.
Did you just throw that out there since Matt's wearing it because Matt's wearing a Stag shirt? Just
No,
wanted to throw
I
shade.
completely
Okay.
forgot, and I forgot to
Yeah.
also give him shit for that. So I'm gonna give you shit for that, Matt. Wearing a Stag sweatshirt onto the podcast. At least you got the Lake County Whiskey Club hat, though.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, we know you were going to pick the Blantons for the single barrel because that's your favorite daily drinker.
Yeah, it's my absolute favorite. You guys
What
know me well.
What a twist it would be if Jake just had a closet full of Blantons and all he does is talk shit about.
I want everybody to stop buying it so that I can have it all.
People keep asking me for it, and I want to keep it for my own.
The funny thing is,
some
though,
evil
that's
genius level
Drew.
shit.
And the funny thing is that's Drew, and he'll openly admit that that's him. He's like the biggest Blanton's tater / whore. Oh boy.
We lost Jake again. No offense, Matt. I'm glad this didn't
wasn't
happen last week with Raj.
Yes.
Oh my god! Just pretend like I'm not here. I guess.
We do most
do.
of the time, anyways.
Yeah, we're going to double the size of the bar and just get rid of wine.
Oh, that's a good call.
Wine's probably
So-
one of your biggest sellers, though, right?
Wine is, yes, I would say it's probably the biggest seller, and it's also the most profitable. So it really,
You got a really extensive wine section.
yeah. I mean, with spirits and beer, it's extremely competitive. Every place sells the same stuff for the most part. Any big store is going to have mostly the same stuff. With wine, it's a little more selective. We try to work with a lot of the smaller, more niche wineries that you don't see at every store and that you can't walk into like a Costco and grab. But yeah, we'll save that for another episode and go more into liquor store 101 and wine, I guess, on the Wine Matters podcast.
After Scotch Matters.
After Scotch Matters. When Dan has his surgery.
Yeah, while
We'll
Dan's
go-
out.
we'll
Yeah,
go down
I'm
a
gonna
rabbit
out with my
Matters.
next surgery. Just get it all out of your system because I won't have to hear
We
about
will.
it at all.
So Matt, I got another question for you. So say I'm not a member of Lake County Whiskey Club. I'm just learning about the club through the podcast. Why would I want to be a member, and like what does being a member look like?
Obviously, the want to be a member is just to get with a group of people that share a common interest. And, if you want to get involved and meet some other people in this same hobby and get involved with some cool events and kind of open your mind to some new things maybe you haven't heard of and different brands and types of things, I'd say that's why you'd want to get involved. And obviously to get involved, all you gotta do is go to Facebook and search Lake County Whiskey Club, and it's there, and you can join. And there's no cost or fee or anything to be part of the community, and then that will get you access to things like our tasting events and bottle picks and barrel picks and things that we're doing that you can be involved in, as well as just opening it up to meeting a lot of cool people.
And so one thing too with that, I guess we didn't really explain it too well. And you talked about having, like, when you're doing the tasting events, all the work it takes on the back end of things. Like, if you're wanting to do some of these Lake County Whiskey Club blinds, you're not going to find those on the Gold Eagle website. Those are strictly through the Facebook page. So that's not going through your normal avenues to do tastings at Gold Eagle. So it does take a lot of back work, and you're only ever going to find back end work, and you're only ever going to be able to find out about them if you're a member of the Lake County Whiskey Club. So if you have been going to the Gold Eagle the normal Gold Eagle blind tastings, you really enjoy it and want to do more, there's an easy way to do it, and that's just to become a member of the Lake County Whiskey Club on Facebook.
Correct. Yep.
See how good I can plug stuff when I really want to do it?
That was a really good plug.
Mm-hmm. I know. I can be really good.
The only problem with it is it's not as easy anymore because they do fill up really quick. But yeah, if you're listening,
it's easy if you have your alerts on your phone, Jake.
I guess if you have notifications on for Lake County Whiskey Club, but yeah,
maybe you should.
If you're listening and you're not a member, I would highly recommend joining the Facebook group. You're just going to meet a bunch of cool people that are local, that like to discuss and share whiskeys. And then, if you want to also get involved and actually meet these people in real life, starting this year, there's kind of a new incentive that we've put together and Matt's put together for the Lake County Whiskey Club of actually attending the events in person. What is that new incentive all about, Matt?
Yeah, so what we're going to do this year is any, I'll say, interaction with the club gets you a raffle ticket. So if you come to a tasting event, if you buy one of our barrel pick bottles, you get a raffle ticket that we're putting into a box. And as we do things like this next Knob Creek pick, we're going to draw the names right out of that to give people in the group an opportunity to participate in barrel picks or other special events we're doing that you might not be able to get to as just a standard person that's into the whiskey community. And we want to give people that opportunity to kind of share in those activities with us and, build some of their excitement around the bourbon community.
So, okay, that is really awesome. I think that is a great idea. My mind just went numb with the administrative tracking of that, though. So good on you for wanting to do that, Matt.
Jake,
good on you. I am glad I have nothing to do with that.
Jake, your mic thing just came back on slow motion. Just a heads up, but so I'll talk on this one. I think it's a great idea, actually a phenomenal idea, because all the people who are just kind of lurking and not really coming to the events are going to be like, all right, well, I need to get my ass to an event so I can do some of these barrel picks. The people who don't buy bottles of the barrel picks and just kind of like watch them get released, like this is going to incentivize people to actually buy a bottle, represent the club in their own way. And I think it's a fair way to get everybody kind of involved in doing the picks. I think there's a lot of people that kind of look in on the club and are like, well, I'm not going to, go to the events or buy a bottle because what's that going to do for me? Like now there's some incentive there for people to get interactive with the group. And as this grows, I think we will add in things like, here's 6 bottles of some allocated bourbon for club members to purchase, and we'll draw names from there. But yes, I don't want to take away from Matt's administrative work because I know he does do a ton of work behind the scenes to organize the tastings, make sure everybody's paid, do releases on barrel picks and whatnot. But I think I think this is a pretty easy way to kind of track everything and do it, because every time you come to the event, you'll get a ticket, you'll fill it out. We'll have one master box where we keep all these tickets. And then each barrel pick purchase, we'll keep track of that, and we'll just have to fill out a ticket behind the scenes, put it in the box. So I don't think that's a ton of add-on work compared to what Matt's been doing, but it definitely should be noted that Matt does put in a lot of time and effort behind the scenes to keep this club moving forward. And it's not like you don't get anything out of it, but like you're not getting paid to do this. It's illegal.
That is true.
It's illegal in the liquor industry to get paid to do anything, in terms of like what you're doing. So,
yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's a cool thing to give people this opportunity that they maybe haven't had, and give them a community to try some new things and meet cool people. And I always encourage people who are even listening to this podcast who aren't really into this. This is a great place to go and ask questions. Hey, I heard about this, and what do you guys think, or stuff like that. I mean, people are always willing to comment and help people along on their journey, I'll say. But yeah, I mean, to Jake's point, it isn't a paying gig. It's something I do for fun, I'll say. And, I won't say you don't get cool experiences out of it and you get to be involved in some cool things, but, it's just a really cool way to, I'll say, even give back to my community a little bit and hook some people up together with a common hobby who like to have fun. And I've met some really great friends along the way myself.
Well said.
Well, so I guess if you guys haven't done it by now, go on Facebook, search Lake County Whiskey Club or LCWC, and go ahead and join. Then there's a questionnaire, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's a quick little thing to fill out just to make sure you're not a bot, basically.
Correct.
And you're good to join. And then you have access to all these other things, some cool barrel picks and things coming out as well.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add to that, too, is as you brought up the couple things to approve, I do want to make sure that everyone understands this is also a group that's a community and about doing things. We're not a selling or trading or buying group. That's not what we're here for and not what we're about.
Yep. Well said.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything like to look beyond? I mean, there's a lot that we've covered. There's a lot that, we've introduced this year. Like, do you have any ultimate goals or ultimate visions with this club that you would like to share, or have
previews of interesting things coming up this year?
Have we not gotten that far yet? Because we have done a lot. The club has grown tremendously just in the last 6 months, let alone, the last month with all these new changes for 2024.
Yeah, I mean, a vision I have is to continue to, build the community and give people that opportunity to grow within it. I do see us doing some more, I'll say, big events, such as renting places out and having big shares and things, getting Gold Eagle to expand their bar, continuing to do some things like that, do some more barrel picks. I'd love to get enough of a community going that we could plan like a trip down to Kentucky as a group, and
there we go.
Maybe for a barrel pick, or maybe just to check out some distilleries and hang out as a crew, whatever that is. But I think that would be a really awesome thing to do, would be to get some, I'll say, field trips initiated and go visit some distilleries and do that kind of cool thing and just have some community and fun as a group.
Very nice.
All right. Well, I guess on that note, Matt, we want to thank you for your time and teaching us a little bit more about the Lake County Whiskey Club. Obviously, the blind tastings, for that, you got to go through Facebook. But for other tastings and other happenings at Gold Eagle, Jake, where can people find out about that?
Yeah, keep up to date with Gold Eagle at goldeaglewine.com, Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits, Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine. See daily deliveries, and obviously you want to keep a close eye on when this Maker's Mark barrel is going to drop. We're going to probably do a pre-sale with the club, and then we'll only have maybe a quarter of the barrel to sell to the public. So I would definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's Gold Eagle. I don't want to take too much more light away from the Lake County Whiskey Club, as that's the focus of this episode.
And Jake, if your mic's working, can you tell us where people can find our podcast at?
Check. Can you hear me?
Hey, look at that.
All right.
Wow.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on Spotify and YouTube. Email us at bourbonmatters@gmail.com if you have suggestions for episodes or want to give Dan hate mail. Or
I've been getting a lot of that lately. It's been awesome.
Yeah, Dan has an arch nemesis now, and it's awesome.
And the funny thing is, my arch nemesis talks shit about me, but it's about shit that you say.
I know it's everything that I say. It's pretty great, actually. I like it. But yeah, comment. If you give Dan enough shit, he might actually read your comment on air, as proven by a couple.
I didn't read it
episodes
last
ago.
time. I just talked shit about the person that left a comment.
I thought
I
you
think
read
I
it.
did. I did say what. Yeah. No, never mind. You're right.
So yeah, listen to the show, share with your friends. If you're a Lake County Whiskey Club member, you should be listening. And we hope to see you guys at Gold Eagle for events and other Lake County Whiskey Club events. I will admit
Awesome.
I've been dragging on showing up to events, so I gotta get that in gear.
I mean, I don't know if you've been dragging. Like, they're hard to get into now. You gotta be on your game. You gotta have notifications on for the club and be ready to jump on that date right away. And I don't know, Jake, with a newborn baby, I don't know if you can just jump on.
I was
tastings.
gonna ask Matt, can I just have a standing ticket? But
Jesus. All he wants is favors from people. Don't give it to him.
Hey,
trying to-
Matt.
hey, props
Yep.
to Matt though. He doesn't do those favors like that. Like for this tasting, Matt hit me up. He was like, "I don't know what to do. I'm really upset. Like a lot of our regulars didn't get in. Like they didn't get tickets," and he was shook. But you know that's
snooze
part
you
of the-
lose.
Yeah, snooze you lose. With a growing club, with a growing following, like that's just kind of the headaches and heartaches that come with it.
Yep.
Maybe we'll have new long-term members out of this. Who knows? But
You'll have
Maybe.
new regulars. You'll have twice as many regulars. That's all that matters for the club. So
just another
Matt?
reason to double that bar at Gold Eagle.
that's right. He's not giving us any facial expressions that make me feel positive about this.
I mean, we can double the space, but then we're gonna need 500 Glencairns. We're gonna need 5 dishwashers. we're gonna need 2 bottles of everything that we're pouring in the blinds, which honestly is the biggest headache for putting these blinds together is finding the bottles to pour, let alone having 2 bottles of each to pour.
Doesn't sound like a me problem. Doesn't sound like a Matt problem. So I don't think there's any problem.
And you don't have any problem except for your back. So
It's a fair assessment of my life right now.
other people have real life problems, but you just have your back to worry about.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thanks for talking about the Lake County Whiskey Club, and we look forward to some more events with you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and look forward to the next event together.
Cheers, guys.
All right,
Cheers.
cheers.